What's up, guys? Coach Justin with Nova Ryu BJJ, and I'm super excited about today's video. I've got my very good friend, the great and talented Mr. Jeff Bourgeois, and he is a man of many skills. So he is a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt under James Foster, tournament director, MMA fighter, family man, IBJJF referee, does a lot of stuff. So do you want to say a little bit about yourself and kind of your background and what got you into the scene and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I'll do that. So I started training Brazilian Jiu Jitsu in 2001. I was doing karate with my son, who we were at a place where James Foster was a purple belt that started teaching Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and I was like, oh, that looks fun. And due to the Power Rangers, ended up at a karate school, and next thing you know, 20-something years later, here we are. Jiu-jitsu just was something that clicked with me kind of off the bat, and so started training in 2001, got my black belt in 2013, but very early on in my jiu-jitsu journey, I took a liking to the rules. I thought it was important to know kind of what was going on with that. There wasn't a lot of referees locally that were willing to put themselves out there and people that were willing to do it. So I started reffing pretty early, and I just committed to the process of trying to be the best referee I could, because when you're wearing a wristband, you're serving the whole community. For a situation to have a growth, it takes good referees for the tournament scene to grow, and a good tournament scene helps an area have good progression in the jiu-jitsu schools and academies. Tournaments a couple of times a year tend to solidify a team and keep people together in the gym, maybe where they might be taking the time off or not, and just putting those reps in. So I found it as a way I could give back to the entire sport, which is so important to me. Just worked out.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. Well, and I guess you've done a lot of reffing all over the country with the IBJJF. And if that's
so, I've reffed. Yes, I have. Yeah, I've reffed in Europe and the United States, Canada. I've reffed from in-house tournaments to regionals to opens to U.S. Open, American Nationals, World, Master Worlds. Like I've reffed, kind of everything in between, like in-house to the World Championships, and it's been a decent journey. I started reffing for the IBJJF in 2009, and been steady, and started reffing local stuff and other stuff before that, but I couldn't start reffing IBJJF until I was a brown belt, and that happened in 2009, and that's when I started reffing for that.
Did that, being a referee, did that change your own training at all? Your perspective on things? Is that?
Yeah. You think of things a little differently when you have to break it down. Just like when somebody starts teaching jiu-jitsu, the technique that maybe they just kind of flowed with, they have to be able to break it down and look at it a little bit differently to be able to explain it. It's the same thing with being a referee, except now you're responsible not just for helping someone that you are training with. It's something that you're responsible for the safety and the accurate scoring for hundreds of people throughout the course of a day. And if you're not going to take it serious and look at it from a slightly different angle, then it might not be the best fit for you. So at least that's the way I look at it. Other people go about it on their own.
Probably made you a little bit more sympathetic to the referees too. It's a tough job. It's not easy.
It is not easy. They're human, man. You're human, and mistakes happen, and don't confuse a mistake for maliciousness.
Real intent.
Yeah,
Sure. No, that's important to keep in mind for sure. Well, okay. So I like to ask this question to everybody who comes onto the channel to show anything or talk about anything. If there was somebody who was just starting their journey in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or martial arts in general, what words of advice or caution or wisdom or what would you impart to them?
Jiu-Jitsu, for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specifically, I would say that a lot of people, when they get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it seems to be slightly addictive, right? It's where's this band? How does this happen? And it's been that way for me for over 2 decades. But like when people are first starting and then they get frustrated, I think with thinking that they should be doing something different or better or whatever. And it's like, I would tell people to take a look at their progress in smaller slices, because Jiu-Jitsu's hard. There's a lot to it, and there's a good chance you're going to suck at it for a really long time. And if you try and look at too big a picture and compare maybe the things that you're learning to what people have been doing for a while and that they do well, you're just going to get frustrated. And when I say take a look at smaller slices, if you're trying to work on, let's say, a sweep, look at the fact of you're getting to the grips that you want for that sweep. You know, after a week or, you know, a handful of classes, you're able to get to those grips fairly consistently. You might not hit the sweep. You might not even off balance the other person. But okay, I'm getting to that. I'm starting to build that pathway. And then you get to where you're getting the grips and you're off balancing. And yeah, of course, the freaking blue belt's going to shut your stuff down. Yeah, duh, that's what they do, right? But you got to that and you started to get it, and then they had to defend it. That's a little bit of a win, and you need to be happy with that little bit of a win. If you're in a place where you come in and you just start training and you're just trucking guys and sweeping people and passing guards right off the bat, you might need to look at a different place to train, because you're probably not going to progress the way you could. And the other thing I would tell people is focus on the basics.
Yeah.
The internet and the information that's out there is really, really cool. And there's a lot of stuff that's available that people should take advantage of. But if you don't have the basics in place, if you're not able to get to guard fundamentals, guard passing fundamentals, posture fundamentals, you know, basics, submission, defense, for the handful of scenarios that are coming up consistently, then you probably don't need to be checking out the coolest, newest thing. You need to just kind of hunker down on getting those basics in place. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with getting involved in the more cutting edge stuff. But if the only thing you have is that cutting edge stuff, it's funny how the cutting edge stuff comes out with a defense and then it goes away for a while. We've seen, anybody that's been around long enough has seen it. Like, where, oh, this is the thing. Oops, never mind. I guess I was defended actually kind of easy. Why didn't I think of that? But the progressions from the basic positions are always going to serve you well. And if you can fall back to those, it's going to be very comfortable for you to be able to try and do some of the cooler things and slicker things, because you know that you can always get back to this and be safe from this position and start over again from that position. So those would be the things I'd say to probably take a look at.
Yeah, that's really solid. No, I would agree with all of that. And you run, I think, one of the, if not the most successful tournaments in the regional area here, and have done so for a long time. And so with that sort of background, as an additional question for you specifically, what advice would you give to people who are looking at their first competition, or as a secondary to that, I guess, and this might be a harder one to answer, do you think people should compete right away, like right when they start training, or would you say take some time, mature a little before you do that?
So I started running a tournament in 2006, and we do about 3 a year, depending on the restrictions in place. And so we're coming up on number 52, and I'm very proud of what we do. I'm very proud of what we do for the local community and the support we have, because we're trying to do the right thing. I feel. So I appreciate the nod on that. The thing that I would say is that it depends on the individual. There's some people that are ready to compete kind of right off the bat because they're in for it anyway. And they're like, oh, I'm doing okay. But if you're not having any success with your training partners, other people that are similar size, similar age, similar time in the sport, as long as you understand you're going to that tournament for the experience and probably going to get trucked, have at it. But take it serious enough. Just because you think you're going to go there and count it as a learning experience to be in the environment, I would tell people that if you're not sure, go to an event, go to a local event, see what's going on, feel the energy. I mean, there's a lot of people that are killers in the gym, and then they go to a tournament and they just they fall apart. Yeah, they fall apart on the mat. You know, and it's because all of a sudden it's this environment, and they're used to, like, they know the moves that they can do and stuff, and they're used to being able to hit them on their training partners consistently, and all of a sudden they go up against another alpha, so wherever you're at on the arc, there's something at a tournament for you. But if you're not sure, go to a tournament, pay the spectator fee, go cheer your teammates on, get in the environment, and then see. There's people that go there that are like, hell yeah, I'm never going to miss one of these. And there's people that are like, I'm glad I didn't do this, because it's just where they're at on the idea for the reason we started doing tournaments was to help the community grow. And having someone come and get blown out of the sport or something like that, that's the exact opposite of what we're trying to do. I don't want somebody to come compete to be like, jiu-jitsu sucks. No, I want them to come there and be like, maybe they're like, my jiu-jitsu sucks and they need to work on their jiu-jitsu. But like jiu-jitsu as a community in a whole is really cool. And the Pacific Northwest is a little extra special to me. Just, I've traveled around the country. I've traveled, internationally and seen, and the way that different environments are between other clubs and teams and academies and associations, whatever you want to call it. And the Northwest has a pretty good vibe where like we're going to train, we're going to have a good match, we're going to fight hard. I'm going to try and kill you when they say combate until they say paro. I'm okay with, getting after it. But as soon as it's done, when we stand up, I need you. Without you, I can't be a champion. And without me, you can't be a champion. So we're going to go ahead and have this respectful combat. We're going to build on each other, and I'm going to hope to be training with you for years. One of the coolest things that's happened for us with the Rev is I have people that have their first competition was a white belt, and they're competing with us as black belts with like second degrees, and that's somebody that we've grown up with. They've grown up with us. We've grown up with them, and that's something that's pretty cool to me. Like to see that progression, and I would hate for them to have had their first tournament 2 weeks in and gotten blown out. Like,
sure,
but some people it's locked in. So
yeah, no, I would agree with all that too. I've been lucky enough to do medical at your event for the last 10 years roughly, which has been it's been an awesome journey. I'm proud to be a part of that event because it's amazing. It's outstanding. So you do a really good job, man. I really appreciate all you do for the community. But I guess one final question then. If somebody who had some background in training, has been training for a while, maybe runs a school, but they're thinking about putting on an event, that could be, I'm sure, like a 5-hour conversation, but any just don't do it, or like you're crazy.
If somebody's going to put on an event, I would want somebody to put on an event for doing it for the right reason. And for me, the right reason is to grow the community. If you do it well and you actually provide a service and help the community, I hope you make money. And I hope people support you. If somebody's going to, you only have so much time. You only have so much money. Like as a competitor, as a participant in any community, you only have so much time and so much money. So what I would say is if you're going to put on a tournament and expect people to support you, provide something worth supporting. If you're not trying to improve, you're not trying to make the sport better. If it's just a cash grab, the Revolution started, it's called the Revolution because in 2005, a guy would come over from the other side, and he would come over and he would just throw together a crap show and take people's money and bounce. And I was just like, we need to change this. There needs to be a revolution and stuff, man. And friggin', because it's just, basically it's me and my wife that, run the Rev, except for setup day to tear down and, the weekend of. It's pretty much, we got to just call it that because that's what we decided to call it. Well, what I would expect is, even in this day and age, when everything has gotten so much better, like everybody expects this high level of professionalism with an event, is like, allow for people to make mistakes. Allow for them to learn and grow. But if they're not learning and growing and they're just giving you the same thing, don't support. And that's whether it's a cool traveling show that gives out super cool awards or it's a local event. And if you have to choose to support local. If the local event is worth supporting, and that goes for the event that I run or any other event, like the rules are the same for me. If it's worth supporting and you have to choose between that and a traveling event, try and support the local event, because that local event probably gives back to your community more than you know. They probably go out of their way to help other people that are in the community more than you might know, because not everybody's like, oh, look at me, look what I did, and posting about it. Some people just do their stuff and just handle it and leave it alone. So that's the thing I'd say.
Cool.
And by the way, everybody adds up real well when they see people coming in, the event. They're like, oh, there's a lot of subtraction that you don't know about that happens,
on the back
end, so just understand that you should be thinking long term. If you're just going to do 2 events, save your time. Don't do it.
Copy that. No, that's awesome. Well, I'm really looking forward to everything you're going to show us. Liberty Events and Promotion, the Revolution Brazilian Jiu Jitsu Tournament. Make sure, if you're going to be in the Pacific Northwest, make sure you're coming out and supporting the event, and it's an awesome one to compete at, so I recommend it to everybody. Check them out on social media and all that good stuff. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.